Remains the fascinating question of why the author of this book didn't latch on to a better model for a novel than Star Trek. The ever-spreading influence of that show is now an undeniable fact. A good deal has been said and written about this phenomenon, but many seem to agree that the program's advocates, whatever else they are appallingly indiscriminate. What can one make of a mentality that not only condones mediocrity, but believes it to be something good, something decidedly worth emulating? Now that is the most dead-on quote I've ever heard about the Star Trek phenomenon. As good as the show may have been, at best, all it is really is a television show. There are no great conventions of 30,000 people going to discuss Proust's Remembrance of Things Past. There are not people dashing in to pay homage to Ralph Nader, the Ralph Nader convention. This was plain and simple, is a kind of hero worship that is on the same plane with the Beatles, on the same plane with, Elvis Presley or Jacqueline Suzanne books. It's better for TV, but what we're talking about again is that great swamp of television drama, which at best never touches, even the middle range of what is done in other medium. Ta-da!
Okay, but I think you need a frame of reference. Now, you cannot translate or cannot transcribe the quality of a novel and compare that to the quality of a television show.
Why not?
Because they're apples and oranges. That's why. You can't. We know that from our personal experience. I'm doing that science fiction seminar. I took some of the finest novelists, fantasy novelists, and had professional actors read from them, and it was dull because it doesn't translate. It's not theater. It's not necessarily theater.
Well, but that wasn't drama. That was a straight reading. What we're talking about is the difference between the best of the Star Trek episodes and any one segment of, say, Rich Man, Poor Man, which is running on another network. And clearly you can take, meaningful, gut-level material and translate it to a television medium so that you don't insult the viewers.
Yes, but now here's something that's quite interesting. You mentioned Rich Man, Poor Man, which is running on ABC. Now, Irwin Shaw's book was a wonderful book to read, I thought. I enjoyed the book, all right? I read an account of that show in one of the news magazines this week where they say that it's poorly written, poorly presented, and that it really isn't worth all the trouble of watching.
I heard the same thing.
Yeah, Newsweek or Time had a little one of their little quick shots.
All I can say is I watched it, and I was fascinated.
I didn't read the book. I watched it. I thought, great.
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
But there's always somebody who will take what's on television, and we're all guilty of it. Like this guy who wrote this here, and what you're saying tonight is going to say, well, it's no good. Yet here's something that you think is of value, but I can give you 4 opinions where they say, well, it's of no value.
No, he didn't say it's bad. What he said is it's mediocre. And that, I think, is the crime. Bad, I can understand. I mean, I can even understand someone making a motion picture where they try to do something. I mean, God knows how many of those, where they strive to do something and they fail dismally, but they tried. The best that anything tries to do on Star Trek or anything else on television is to hit that median, which is where they failed because they tried to be a little bit better and they didn't get the Bible Belt. Instead of conscientiously educating a television audience throughout the nation to want better things, they give them one more cop show. Jigsaw John went on the other night. There's another cop show. The Cop and the Kid, that'll last 15 minutes,
Well, what you're doing when you talk about the cop shows is you're praising Star Trek, really, because Star Trek was much more than any cop show you ever want to see.
No, it was a cop show.
Oh,
Star Trek was a cop show, too. Sure, it was spacemen acting like cops.
No, it wasn't.
Didn't you? Didn't you go through the galaxy and straighten things out?
There were a few things.
Come on, you fought evil.
Really,
Fess up. Come on,
really, when
didn't
it
you
comes
fight
down to
evil?
the sum total, you can't knock it that way.
I think that every episode of Star Trek did something that they preached in every episode they didn't do, and that was stress violence. I think that there was violence in every episode of Star Trek, as much as they preached that there wasn't, or that man had overcome his violent aspect. There was violence in every episode.
Yeah, but generally it wasn't man. It was some android or some
It was one of those terrible
monster.
little green people with,
Yeah,
right.
But I think that
Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that fascinating? Anytime they kill someone off, it was always a member of a third world race, right? Go ahead, shoot him. Donnie's green. What does it matter?
we didn't shoot him. We stunned him.
Vulcan nerve pinched him.
Where is that thing that you had out here, that gun?
There you are.
No. You demonstrate what it does, because I don't understand the technology.
That's all right. That's all right.
Go ahead. Go crazy with the gun.
Now, let me see here. We have... That's stun. Can you see that?
All right,
Stun
stunning.
force?
Now twist the dial. Right.
That sounds like a treble. I don't know what.
Now, these are for sale at the conventions, huh?
Well, this is a prototype, I believe, that was made by the people at the Federation Trading Post, which is a store devoted entirely to Star Trek stuff.
There's one east and one west.
That's right. You really hated it, didn't you?
No, man, listen.
You wrote your one episode.
No, you know what I hate? You know what I hate? Honest to God, I hate...
Reverence for things that don't deserve them. I know you hate that.
Yeah, but I also hate the fact that it's the exploitation of the gullible. I mean, you see the things that these kids buy when they go to these conventions. They spend hundreds of thousands of dollars because it's Star Trek affiliated. You know, I mean, if they want to watch the show, dynamite, let them watch. Better that than they should be out in the street, you know, stealing hubcaps. But they're being really exploited. $12 a day to go and listen to, you know, James Doohan explain the ethical structure of the universe. I mean, this is a bit of exploitation.
I thought it was worth it.
Yet you went to one.
I went for money, man.
He goes for all of
I went for money. They pay me a staggering sum of money, but I don't do a Star Trek gig. I get up and I read my stories. Anybody wants to come and listen to me read my stories? Dynamite. But I do the same thing I would do anyplace else.
Yeah, and they all get up and leave, right?
Well, that's true. That's true.
Brings the audience to their feet as they head for the exits.
I have a limited audience, but they're an intelligent one.
Yeah. I'd like to... Tom, can I just say one thing?
Yeah, what do we got left? 45 show? Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay. I think you've got to consider Star Trek not as the ultimate in terms of quality television or science fiction on television, but as a departure point. I think it's, without question, the best episodic science fiction that has ever been on television. That doesn't mean that it's the best television that there ever was, but certainly if you consider it as a departure, as a place, as a jumping-off place, then I think you have a very positive attitude about what's going to happen with television and the quality of television. Star Trek broke new roads. I
8 years ago, and nothing's happened since, Walter.
Okay. We're coming back.
Gents,
we're coming back, baby.
I'm out of time. We had another piece of film to show, and I never got it on because we were having such a wonderful time listening to Harlan Ellison tell us that it was all... Sometime you're coming on here, and we're going to tell the stories you've been through in the television industry, and we're going to name the names.
You're on.
Okay, so are you. We'll tape it right after we get finished tonight. We'll be right back after these announcements, and I hope all of you will stay tuned. And that concludes our Star Trek look back to the 4th of February, 1976 this year, and also concludes the encore presentations, the reruns that we've been putting on during our vacation time. And now here is tonight's late news from the People team. On Monday, a very interesting story. I hope so. When Bert Ross was part-time mayor of Fort Lee, New Jersey, which is what, just across the Hudson River from New York, he was offered a $500,000 bribe. He not only turned down this bribe, but allowed himself to be wired